Hey everybody, this is Jason Ostrowski, and welcome to another edition of the Everything Real Estate Podcast. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about appreciating your clients with my special guests, Ed and Beverly Schmitt from the Ed Schmitt team. Beverly and Ed are award-winning realtors and tech specialists with our Westchester office. And what separates their business from other agents and gives them their real estate superpower is the special way that they leverage their skills and interests outside of real estate into their client appreciation events to gain more business. We're going to talk about the details and how they do it in today's episode. So let's get right into it with Bev and Ed, and we'll pick it up on the other side. Okay, we're here today with Bev and Ed Schmitt from the Ed Schmitt team. They are based out of our Westchester office, and today we're going to talk about client appreciation and leveraging that for your business. So, Bev and Ed, how are you today? How are things out in Westchester?
Hey, Jason. It's a crazy market, as we all know, but doing well.
We're both doing well and enjoying real estate.
We were talking off camera to start about how crazy the market still is and kind of uneven in a lot of ways. I think that kind of ties into our subject today because, it's all about prospecting, marketing, making sure that you're consistent in what you do in order to stay consistent in a crazy market. And so I want to start by saying that there are many ways to build a business and gain clients. And we've talked a lot about those different ways with the podcast. And we've spoken about, cultivating your sphere, cold calling people, farming, buying leads online, networking, hosting open houses. But both of you have built a strong business by leveraging your client appreciation events. So my first question is, what led you to focus on your client appreciation to drive your business? And Ed, I'll start with you on this one.
Yeah, Jason, I think, in the beginning when we first kind of got started in real estate, it was how do you build something? How do you create something? And the thought of buying leads and trying to do that really didn't make sense. So we started off by thinking, who do we know? So we put together a list of maybe 100 and so people that we would consider our sphere and said, what can we do that would be a little bit different, a little bit more unique than maybe what other agents are doing? How do we let people know we're in the business? And so we started to think about putting together some client events, and we kind of leveraged it off of something we had done in our neighborhood, which was kind of started off many years ago as kind of a neighborhood block party. And then over the years, it kind of devolved into, it almost didn't happen. And we thought, well, maybe we could just kind of kick that back off and launch that again and use that as our business to put people that are in the neighborhood, people in our sphere, invite them to what we called sort of a client appreciation party, although maybe they weren't clients in the beginning, but they were prospective clients.
Well, we always knew that building our business was going to be about who do you know, and not whether they want to buy or sell a house, but who do they know? So leveraging off of those friends and family to have each of them spread our message that we were now in the business, and to please keep us in mind if they know someone who is looking to buy or sell a house. That's kind of where we figured we need to build on all these relationships we already have, because we have a pretty wide network of volunteer things we do. So there was a lot of people from like the high school group where we worked with the theater arts program, the music groups we belong to, and churches and different places we volunteered. So we were trying to best capture all those relationships we already had.
And you're reading my mind, Bev, because I was reading your bios online before we came on. And first, I want to say that both of your bios put my bio to complete shame. And I really need to work on what I do outside of real estate, because what you do outside of real estate is incredibly impressive. And so if we can start there, how does your personal backgrounds kind of lean into your real estate strengths? Can you talk about how your background's made it a natural fit for hosting client appreciation events? And Bev, I'll start with you on this one.
My main career for much of my life, I worked for Sears and was 30 years, and up in management and retail sales, running actually computer, electronic, and home appliance divisions for Sears, one of the largest in the company. With the sales experience I had, it was a natural fit for me now to take those skills and put them into our real estate sales business. And then also, one of my other jobs that I've had in the past, but I still have, is I'm a floral designer. So all those design skills I also bring with me. It works well with staging homes, even transfers over to Ed's skill of photography, that composition, all those same things really show up in the product that we put out for our clients.
So my background, I worked 37 years in corporate environment, retired from that. And Beverly and I were like, well, let's see, what do we want to do? We're not a sit around type people. So we wanted to come up with something to do. And we were doing a house renovation, pretty much whole house renovation on our own home. And we were like, real estate's really pretty cool. And I had moved 7 times, I think, during the past. And each time the experience wasn't the best. And I thought maybe there's a better way that we can serve this industry and get involved in it. And that kind of got us kicked off into maybe real estate is what we want to get involved in. And so then using some of, as Bev had mentioned, some of my background in photography and other things to use those skills in some of that. But also a couple things like, we had talked in the very beginning about buying leads and doing other kind of stuff. Cold calling, I would never cold call. I mean, that just was not me. We really love to interact with people. If you said host a party, we'll be like, when, where? We will like jump right on it. But if you told me to cold call, forget it. I'm not doing it. It just was not something I would like to do. So it just kind of was a natural fit for us for kind of entertaining. We did a lot of, even when I was in the corporate world, we did a lot of entertaining. I had people from all over the world come and I would host them at my house and we would have a party at the house. And it was for a training thing. And people would come once a month for like 6 months to my house. And it was really funny because the people that came were like, wow, this is like the best experience. I don't think any other people that are going through this, that the person's inviting them to their house and hosting a personal party. This is so nice. So it just kind of really fit with kind of the things that we like to do to entertain and be involved in things. So,
well, I know, Ed, that you are a DJ as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And the first time that we had met at the educational party, I guess I could say yes, that's what it was.
Yeah.
That you were blowing me away with your background, and you were telling me you're DJing on the side, and so. My question is, were you DJing at those events as well? And is that why it was such an unbelievable party experience?
No, not those. Those were more like dinners and, other things, not DJ blown out wild parties. And they were smaller.
Well, actually, they each had a theme because they were once a month. And so we were known to have had a almost like a Cinco de Mayo.
We had a mariachi. We hired a mariachi band, at our house. And,
And it rained. So we had a mariachi band in our home with about 15 international guests, and it was a wild party. They all thought the song was 1 Ton Tomato, singing at the top of their with a beer in their hands. 1 ton tomato, I got a 1 ton tomato. So we're known for having a good time and really bringing the life to the party. So the DJ that we do is almost always, actually, it's always for charity events. So we do an event like the Billy Mock charity event, and we always will bring our banners. They have a golf outing, so we set up with the table and our Berkshire Hathaway banners on the front of the table, and have our Popeyes that we give away, and we sponsor, some of the golf events. So we have our big Berkshire Hathaway sign right out on the golf course. And then we're there to help MC and DJ. So we wrap it in that way. And
we've done it with a number of organizations and a number of things. So it's all volunteer work. We don't get paid for it, but it's just something we like to do and it's fun. And then gives us an opportunity to kind of, like Bev said, put our banner out, do a little advertising, but it's not the main theme of what we do. We do it basically to volunteer. And we were doing that before we got involved in real estate. So it was another natural fit.
Well, I think it's one of the themes that we drive in this podcast is that kind of do what you love and business can come from the synergy of doing what you love out in the community.
Sure.
And I think you both do it to perfection. And it certainly sounds like, with the relationships that you have built in doing something that you care about has led to success in real estate for you both, right? And the other thing is, you definitely, as you mentioned before, are two people that strike me as people that do not like to sit idly by and do nothing with their time. You're not sitting around watching Netflix all night, right? You're out there actually doing stuff. And I think we need to be reminded that, get out there and just do things, an action will lead to a reaction, right? And your actions are leading to a reaction in terms of your business. So, when you started hosting these appreciation events or just being out there doing things in the community, like you mentioned, was there a lot of trial and error at first when you started to do these events, or was it kind of you already were doing them and you kind of knew what you were gunning for? How did that go when you started in real estate?
I think, that's a great question. And fortunately for us, Jason, it was a natural fit for us. So it wasn't like out of the realm of things that we were used to doing. So it came pretty easy. I could see that, somebody's maybe not done that. It could be something that they could be, upset or nervous of how do I do this, whatever. But, you always learn from everything. Every experience, everything you do is a learning opportunity. And, if it doesn't go right the first time, then it'll get better the next time. So you just keep learning and keep doing. And our events have gotten better and bigger, as time has gone on. So
I think it is a natural fit, like Ed says. But as far as whether people would be overwhelmed, they sometimes think, well, how am I going to get people here? Or, what if nobody shows up and things? And it really is not about who actually comes to the event, but the opportunity that having the event presents to us to be able to reach out to people. And as I've told you, if all the people that I invited to our 4th of July event actually showed up, I'd be in trouble because there's not enough space for them, not enough food for them. But they are so happy to be included and to get the invitation. They'll send us a note saying, I'm bummed I can't make it this year, but thank you for thinking of me. And so it consistently gives us the opportunity to reach out to people and follow up with them. Sorry you couldn't make it. How are things going? It gives us the opportunity to make those phone calls that in real estate we're all supposed to make to stay in touch with our clients and our sphere. That, as Ed said, making phone calls for us seems to be tough. So it kind of gives us a softer bridge to have that opportunity to reach out to people.
You have a reason to call.
Right.
And, even though I said I don't like cold calling, I don't even really like making calls unless I have something, I don't want to just, hey, just checking in, how you doing? It's a lot easier if you say, hey, we're having a party on such and such, or we're doing this event, whatever. Just wanted to invite you, let you know, whatever. And as Bev said, a lot of times people can't make it, but you can make a call to invite them. And if they don't show up, you can make another call that said, hey, sorry we missed you. It was a lot of fun. Hope to see you next year, whatever. So there's multiple touches that you can do based on any event. And even if very few people show up, they're not going to know how many people showed up. They're going to appreciate the fact that you included them, that you thought about them. And the whole thing, as Bev had said, the whole thing is to leverage off of them and their relationships so that you're top of mind. When somebody says, oh, I'm thinking about buying or selling a house, they're going to say, oh, I know somebody. And they're going to pop right off the top of their head because you're in constant contact with them.
I think that's the beautiful thing. If there's one takeaway from this podcast that I see right away, it's that, like you had said, Bev, it's not about the number of people necessarily that come to the event, because you'll get people. You're not going to get all your people, but you'll get people. But then, as you said, it's about then following up with a phone call and giving yourself the opportunity to have something to talk about, because often as agents, I feel like we get in our own heads about calling our clients and what do we talk about? And we've talked about on the podcast before about the Ford questions that Ninja talks about, right? Family, occupation, recreation, dreams. But it's not always a natural segue for people to put that into a conversation. This gives you a concrete idea to talk about with a client when you call before the party, as you said, Ed, and also to call after and say, we missed you, maybe catch us at the next one. And it's a great way to follow up with people. So it's not always about the event itself. It's about what can follow up and happen after or before the event leading up to it. So
Jason, if I can add just one thing to that too, is that, if you have people in your database, maybe past clients, people in your sphere, whatever, and you haven't been making phone calls to them for a long time, it would be really awkward for you to call out of the blue and ask them some Ford type questions versus you're calling them out of the blue. Hey, we're having this event this year. We'd like to invite you. That's a lot easier than, oh, hey, how are you doing? And they're like, why is this person calling me? I haven't talked to Ed in 2 years, whatever. Why is he calling me now? So it is a lot easier when you have that subject and topic to be able to engage them in.
That's very true. And yeah, that would lead to an awkward conversation. You do have to follow up with your people more than that to have an effective conversation with the forward questions. So how many events do you host a year? So is there a sweet spot for the both of you for the number of events you try to do, or can they happen too often? Do you go to the well one too many times? Is there kind of a number that you try and stick to?
Yeah, we've been 2 primarily per year and maybe a third depending. One, we do a 4th of July party, and that's a pretty big, event. We invite a lot of people. Attendance is maybe between 80 and 100 people to that event. And then we do a pie party at our house in Thanksgiving. Those are the 2 primary events. And then we've kind of put things in, here and there where opportunity comes up. And one was a shredding party that we did that was at the office, actually, and leveraged, multiple agents to keep the cost down. And that event was I think it cost us $30 or something for, to spread it across a number of agents. And then the shredding company came, and that was a huge success for us. We had quite a few people turn out. People were really looking forward to it. I think they're like, when is the next one?
One of the things that we do like to do is about the invitations. So people are like, well, how do I get the word out about the party and such? So one thing that Ed and I also like to do is video work, and we do video invitations. So again, we're putting our face out there, not just another email. People, we all get, deluged with all the newsletters now that everybody is pumping out. And so when they open our invitations and there's the 2 of us waving at you saying, hey, it's 4th of July is coming up. This is the time and date. Looking forward to having you come. Then we get even reactions from that. Love your videos. I'm looking forward to it. Sorry I can't make it.
Or people will call us. They'll call us. Hey, just got your invitation. It's great. Thank you. Whatever. Love the video. So yeah, that's a lot of fun.
So we do it for our pie party too. So you'll see a video of the 2 of us holding a pumpkin and an apple pie in our video, announcing it's our pie party. And then a follow-up to that I've learned is I used to say, let us know what your pie choice is. And our clients do. They start looking forward to it now, saying, okay, they'll send me a note even before the invitation comes out. Put me down for a pumpkin this year. But I stopped putting that in a reply because then it gave me the chance to call. It's like, okay, I'm calling to see if you can make it. And do you want an apple or a pumpkin? We, keep it simple to those 2. And so that's given me that oomph that I needed to make that phone call. So
that was probably a good learning point of things that, Jason, you had asked about, what have we learned or what are we doing differently, et cetera, is just as Bev said, is before we would just put the note out, do a video, what do you want, that kind of thing. But we said, that's kind of dumb. Why don't we just leave that out and then use that as the phone call? Is not only, invite them to the event, it's like, hey, what do you want? And that's been great. But we do get people calling us, are you having the pie party this year? Or are you having the 4th of July parties? So people actually start to look forward to it after a while.
Such a great idea with the video and then the follow-up with a phone call to see what flavor pie they want, to give you an excuse to pick up a phone and call people. It's very simple, and effective at the same time. And it's not intimidating to be able to do that because you have a specific reason to call those people and to engage those people. So I do want to ask you, how long do you typically take to plan these events? Like you have two events a year that are pretty well established at this point. So does the time frame to actually put that together get shorter and shorter per year as you perfect the practice, or how long in advance do you need to start putting these things together?
I think, yeah, it's, where it is right now, it doesn't take us that long. And maybe in the beginning it took a little bit longer, but, like for 4th of July, we do a big fireworks thing. So the fireworks stuff was planned last year, like 6 months in advance, that was planned. But just the event, like we get table rentals and food and all that kind of stuff. That's pretty short term, kind of thing. The pie party, we do that in advance, but, maybe about a month before, making sure you get the invitations out, making sure things go. We pretty much know how we're going to set up the house for, it's kind of like an open house type event from like 4:00 till
like 4 to 6, and just stop in, have a glass of wine, have a snack, pick up your pie. Some will pick up the pie and go, and some will stay. Gosh, one year we had people here till 11 o'clock at night. I finally had to kick them out. But a lot of our clients become our friends, and sometimes the friends become clients. But we seem to adopt a lot of our clients. Once we sell them or help them buy a house, we just hang on to them and we stay friends. And that's been a nice benefit for us, that we just kind of hold on to you, and they still become our biggest advocates. We have somebody right now who's telling us, I can't wait to just put you on every place we can to tell you what a great job you guys have done. And we're going to give you all the referrals we can and such. And I said, well, that's really nice to hear, because we do all of our business by referral. And so it's only by, our satisfied clients that we're doing as well as we are.
Well, I think that's the best testimonial that you could possibly have, right? It's somebody else telling people, raving about you and what a great job you do. And for people to stay at your house until like, say, 11 o'clock at night, again, you must put on a mega party, because I might need to see one of these firsthand, because you have all these people that want to hang out with you and just, stay with you until, till the wee hours of the morning, at a pie event. You must be doing something right. So
we have a big, the kitchen has we have a big island, the island's set up with all kinds of, snacky foods kind of things. We have wine, we have beer, we have other stuff. And then we have sort of a unique kind of house in terms of the content. It's like we collect antique machines, phonographs, music box, antique radios, that kind of stuff. So we have antique music box in our foyer from 1896 that plays.
Wow.
Takes a 27-inch disc. So we do a whole tour from one room. Then one room is all phonographs from the turn of the century into the 20s. And then another room is radios from the 30s. And, people are asking questions, and do they work? And I play them, and we do that. So it's kind of like a whole little tour event kind of thing. It's kind of fun when, people that are new clients that show up, and they're like, oh, wow, what is this? I said, they say it's like a museum. I said, yeah, pretty much. So we have a lot of fun with that.
So it's a wine and museum tour with a pie as you leave.
I was just going to say, you're curators at this point.
Yeah,
yes,
a pie at the end.
That's really cool. That's really cool. So, you had mentioned those two specific parties that you have. Do you ever think about, you mentioned the shredding event as well, but do you ever think about each year when you start the year, you kind of think about how you want to do these things? Do you think about adding on or changing up an event? Is there anything new that you're working on that you kind of want to tweak this or that as time goes by?
Yeah, we had talked about, I like a lot of people do like an ice cream kind of party, go to an ice cream place. We had talked about doing that a couple times, but we never really pulled the trigger on it.
What we really found is we, as you saw in our bio, we do classic Corvettes, and Ed and I each have several. So we did decide to take advantage of the spring weather and married up with United Tire out in Downingtown, and we just hosted a Cars and Coffee about 2 Sundays ago. So we provided the coffee, and we had donuts, real good bakery donuts. And that was our first foray into, okay, what's the next thing of just, something that taps into another one of our spheres and, things we like to do that makes it easy. And we go to Cars and Coffee every chance we get on a weekend. So that was something that was new for us this year. It was fairly successful. We enjoyed it. And so I think we'll add that into the rotation as well for maybe the spring. And then
an event like that was a little different maybe than some of the other events. The other events are, it's your sphere, your past clients and ever. And something like this is basically maybe people that you don't even know. So you have your database, and one of the things you have to do with your database is you have to constantly, weed through your database and take some things out and add some in. So this is about adding some things in. So how do I add in? So an event like this was not necessarily, clients and whatever, but this was an opportunity to meet new people and to add new people into our database. So that was a different type of, I wouldn't call it a client appreciation. Maybe it's a client acquisition kind of party to add to your database.
Yeah, that's a great way to think about it, because for example, I'll piggyback off of what you just said, is that, I host client appreciation events usually a couple times a year. And a new wrinkle that we're doing is that in a couple weeks, there's going to be a block party in my neighborhood, and I'm going to be sponsoring the food truck there. And I asked them if I could set up, say, a placard at the food truck with my information, maybe a QR code on a sandwich board, right, and my logo. And then I'm going to be there talking to everybody. And while I'm talking to them, I'm going to be wearing my sweatshirts and my hats, and and shamelessly plug what I do. But it's a natural fit, because number one, I want to meet everybody in my neighborhood. I relatively, I'm a relatively new owner in this neighborhood. And I want to make sure that I plant my flag firmly, that if anybody lists around me, I want to make sure that they know I'm here. So that's a great opportunity to do that. You talk about client acquisition event. That's really what this is.
Right. Yeah.
And to meet people, I'm just interested in meeting my neighbors. So it's a great tie-in. So how do you promote then the success of your events? Is there a particular thing that you do? I know a lot of people like to post things on social media when they have these events. Is there anything that you do in terms of, marketing to continue to grow each year, your client base or your sphere showing up at these events, number one, or say that, the Corvettes and coffee, or Cars and Coffee that you do, what do you do to promote what you're doing to the masses?
Some of what we do, post some things on Facebook and, social media and that kind of stuff, but we probably haven't done a ton of that, because sometimes I like to kind of protect people's, privacy. We do the pie party. I take a picture of everybody with a pie. We take pictures at the party, and I always tell them, look, I'm not going to be plastering these things all over social media, because they probably don't want that. But I do take the pictures, and I'll send them a copy of the picture or whatever, and do that. But we don't plaster it out too much on social media, because I think people just like a little bit of privacy. So that's probably one thing we don't do a lot of.
Maybe we should be doing more of, but, or he talks about being social media. We do invite some of our other vendors that we work with. We have a mortgage person that we have come to our 4th of July party, and he does the work for us. He does a live stream on Facebook during the party, and he has a great sphere of influence that out on his Facebook following. And so he goes by and he's interviewing different people, interviewed our technician who does all the fireworks, and then came by, interviewed us, and gave us a big pitch saying we were the best. And if you ever need anybody, give Bev and Ed a call and such. So we have people doing some of the work for us on our behalf. So that's helpful.
And I do think sharing the burden is great for these kind of things too, because I work with a couple other agents on a couple events. and I'll do something for myself as well, right? So I'll kind of mix and match to maximize what I can do. And I'm quickly learning that the payoff for these things, they can be very high, and the cost does not have to be something that's extraordinary or out of this world in terms of dollars and cents that you're spending. If you talk about bringing other people in and kind of sharing in that cost together, it can be actually very, very affordable to do these things. It's just really time and effort. So what do you both think are the best low cost, high reward things that you do with these events? Is it the pie event? Is it, you had mentioned the shredder event and it's $30 a person, what do you think your best low cost, high reward event has been?
It's probably the shredding event because the cost is like nothing. The pie party, you're buying pies for people that are, maybe $10 a pie or $15 a pie or something like that. The fireworks thing, you're probably spending, a lot of money there as well. But a shredding event, we had it with the office. We had, I don't remember, 10, 15 agents or whatever chip in to hire this company to do the shredding. And it was, physically at our office. We set up a tent. We brought a tent, set it up. We had our... It
was a drizzly day.
It was like a little drizzly, but we set up a Ed Schmitt team banner. We had all of our Popeye gifts like on the table. And as people pulled up, they pulled up to the thing. I would take the stuff out of the trunk of their car, hand it to the guy. He would put it into this bin, and then it would go through the shredding. And Bev was standing right past there, right by the tent, and was just kind of waving to, our clients. And as they dropped the stuff off, then they went over there and we're talking to Bev. And then I walked over, and then we engaged them in conversations there. And
note is this was during COVID too. So there was still a lot of, hands off. So you didn't have to get out of your car with the, with your shredding.
Yeah.
But
people still had masks on.
But what was funny is other agents watching us, because we had our clients, they were pulling over, they're getting out of their car, they're standing at the tent, they're chatting with us, we're taking selfies with them, we're posting those. And there was, I think I've shared this with you, but there was an agent who actually from across the parking lot was looking at us with our tent and the banners and the gifts and this and that. And he said, wow, the Schmitts are really showing us up. And I said, nope, the Schmitt team is showing you how. And they said, yeah, okay, I get it.
So you can do exactly what we're doing. It's not magic. It's not, something maybe unique because others weren't doing it. But like I said, we had Popeye gifts. So we had a gallon of windshield washer fluid with a tag that said,
if you would like a clearer view of the market, give us a call.
Yep. And we had a number of different Popeye gifts that, we were giving out to people. And of course, like I say, it's a free thing. They'll come, and I'm telling you, people, I think we put in the thing, like try to limit it to like maybe 2 boxes. So we had people show up with a whole trunk full, it's like, and one person said, I've been saving this for the longest time since I got your invitation. I collected everything everywhere in my house, and I just brought it all. I said, well, it's fine. We'll, don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. But, people really did appreciate that. So from a cost effectiveness standpoint, I mean, it couldn't be more cost effective than that. It was like $30 or $35, whatever it was, very inexpensive. And then you're giving away a Popeye gift that's, $2, $3 or something like that. I mean, you can't get any lower cost than that for an event that people really appreciate.
And you get that face-to-face time, right? Or in that case, it was mask to mask, I guess, because it was COVID. But I think you hit upon an important point too. You're very strategic with what you're doing. Yeah, you're having the shredder event, but then you're going beyond that and having, the Popeye there. Kind of what you want to do. You have some creative ideas. And by the way, I'm a sucker for a good pun. So I like what you did with that. But we always need to think in these terms. My head is always kind of spinning with, different ideas that I want to employ. And sometimes my wife's like, yeah, that's really dumb. I think I have a great idea, but I think that's the beauty of having also a spouse that is in the business as well, that you can bounce ideas off of back and forth. All right. Yeah. So last thing I wanted to ask you before we get out of here, Ed, and this is a very, very serious question. Since I want to go back to your DJing days. So if if I'm hiring you for a party, do you have a DJ call name? Do you have like is like DJ Easy Ed or something?
Nope,
like that?
nope,
No.
It's
Keep
pretty
it simple. I thought I was gonna.
Yeah, no. Actually, my son, he does, DJ work with the equipment that I have. So I have a really nice professional equipment rig. Mine's pretty low key stuff. It's like I go to an event, and what's the theme of the event? What do you want to hear? And I'll play some music and we'll MC. We have, wireless mics and, a headset mic, that you can walk around and talk and do those kind of things. But it's kind of like a low key kind of thing. My son, on the other hand, he's up there, doing all the mixing and, he's going crazy with it. So he does that. Mine's pretty low key from that standpoint.
Well, fun fact, I actually tried to DJ, I think twice in my life. I got hooked up. I don't even know how it happened. I got hooked up with a guy who did DJing events. And I was the guy, I was like the apprentice trying to learn about the business. And he had me blowing up like blow up guitars and other different things and throwing them out to the crowd. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stick with real estate. And that's how it's going to be. It was too late. So it was past my bedtime. I wasn't really staying up all night. So that's my quick DJing story.
We did a DJ. What was the one we did at Hershey's Mill? Who was that for?
Yeah, so we've gone out to like Hershey's Mill, and it was their party at the end of the summer.
End of the summer pool party. So a friend of ours does like a senior dance kind of thing, dance group or whatever. And so she was hosting an event at Hershey's Mill, which is a 55 and up community near our office. And she said, "Hey, could you help us out with the DJ thing?" So we went there and did the whole DJ thing. Bev had the wireless mics on, and she was out showing people line dances and, doing that kind of stuff. We just had a great time.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we do the Polish festival down in Wilmington. So that's a whole other dance set that when you're doing
I'm telling you, I don't know when you guys have time to sleep. I mean, talking to you and what you do outside of real estate is very impressive, like I said. So, well, listen, thank you so much for your time today. This was great information. I think agents will walk away with some great ideas. Much continued success to the both of you. And hopefully I'll see you in person again at the next educational team party.
That sounds good. Great.
That was the conversation with Ed and Bev Schmitt. Here are a couple of takeaways I had from my sit down with them this week. Number one, both Ed and Bev did not do real estate for the vast majority of their lives, right? They got into real estate a little bit later in their careers, but they were savvy enough to ask themselves, okay, how are we going to build our business? What are we good at? And what can we leverage to gain more clients getting into the real estate industry? And for them, it was leaning into that client appreciation or those client appreciation events because they knew that's where they excelled. I think for the rest of us, we have to figure out where we excel. What are we good at? And what can we do in terms of our strengths, applying that to our real estate careers? Sometimes that's not an easy question for us to answer, but if you can, your real estate business is going to flourish. Number two, and I think this is part of the brilliance that Ed and Bev applied to their business, is that, yes, they have these client appreciation events, but it gives them an opportunity with each event that they hold to call their clients before the event or after the event. Either way, you now have a purpose to reach out and call that client. It's simple, strategic, and effective, and that's what Bev and Ed have accomplished and mastered with their client appreciation events. The last thing I want to touch upon, and we've talked about this in many other areas of marketing ourselves, whether it's social media, if it's video, now it's client appreciation events. So much of what we need to do is just doing it, right? If you have in your mind that you would like to put together a client appreciation event, just do it. You got to start somewhere. And the first year that you have one of these things, you may not get a lot of people out to the event, but you can build on that in every successive year. and your clients and friends start to look forward to these things every year that you have them. So get out there and start doing it. And if you have a great creative idea, but you're worried about the cost, ask some of your colleagues to go in on the event with you. Number one, you'll get more people out to the event. And number two, it will help mitigate the cost for you by bringing other people in. You can minimize the cost, and it's win-win for everybody involved. Well, that's it for the podcast this week. We will be back in another couple of weeks with a new topic, a new guest, and as always, if you want to hear something that we haven't covered yet, please reach out to me, jason.ostrowski@foxroach.com. And if you haven't liked and subscribed to the podcast yet or left us a review, please do so. It helps us to reach more people. Once again, this is Jason Ostrowski saying stay safe out there, stay selling, and we'll catch you on the next episode of the Everything Real Estate Podcast.